morning, friends. I am Patty Elhoff, the author of Upcycle with Decoupage, and today I would like to show you some simple instructions. This is going to be probably one of my shortest videos, and I hope you like it. Here's what we're working on for today. I decoupaged a switch plate, and then I added a little frame around it so that it ended up looking like this. Now your best bet would be to go to the hardware store, unless you like the one that's on your wall. The one on my wall was so dirty. It's in the kitchen and it gets a lot of activity around there. I took that off the wall and didn't even want to paint it. I just went out and bought a brand new one for a couple of dollars. This is metal. I'm using chalk paint over it because chalk paint goes over any surface. And it's also a very good base for decoupage. But you want to take this to the craft store with you before you get started. You also want to paint the frame, and I'm using a pouncer on this because I didn't want the paint to seep into all of those carved out sections. And you'll also put this aside to dry. And you probably noticed that the frame in my final picture is much darker. That was because when I ended up putting this on the wall, it was so similar to the wall color you could barely see it, and I wanted this adorable little frame to stand out a little bit. So I just ended up going over it in a darker color. The switch plate is dry, so I added my decoupage glue, and I'm using rice paper today. I'll post the link below on where you can purchase the rice paper. You may not be able to get this specific design. She may have it in stock or she may not, but she has several other beautiful rice papers you can work with, also napkins. And I'm placing the paper down over my switch plate, and I'm going to just press it down, and make sure you press all around these edges. And I'm not going to worry about the holes for right now. I'm going to take a tiny bit of water on the same brush that I had the decoupage glue on, and I'm just going to go around the whole surface, and I'm going to put this aside to dry. And again, I'm not going to worry about these circles, the inside where your switches will go. I'm going to let this dry just like this. Now that this is dried, and the rice paper dries relatively quickly, within a half an hour it was completely dry, and I'm taking a nail file and I'm going along the outside edge, and I am filing in one direction. I keep pulling that file towards me, and that will take away all of the excess paper on the ends here. And now we'll work on those holes in the center there. I just took an X-Acto knife, any sharp knife will do, and I made little slashes in the center, little X's. Then I just pushed the paper on through to the back, and again I took the nail file and I went all around these insides. And you want to try to file it in one direction only. That's very important. And just pull away all of the excess around the centers here. And now I'm going to cover the whole surface of the rice paper with decoupage glue. But I'm going to slow the camera down for 1 second just to show you something. Along these edges right here, I am trying to pull the paper away deliberately to get glue underneath there, then press it back down, because you want those edges to be as securely on there as possible. So I'm going to finish going around this whole switch plate following those same instructions, and put it aside to dry. Now that the decoupage glue is dried, I'm going to add 3 different coats of varnish. I'm sorry, 3 separate coats, because this is going in an area where it's going to be a little bit humid. You may only need 1 or 2 top coats, and then we're going to put this aside to dry. And now that the top coat has dried, or all of the top coats, I'm going to place the frame over my switch plate, which means I'm going to flip it over, because the frame is a little larger than the switch plate, and I'm using this E6000 glue, and I'm going to go all around this inside area here, put a bead of the glue around, and then leave this to dry. The E6000 takes a little bit longer to dry. Hot glue would dry immediately, but hot glue usually comes undone after a while. This E6000 will stick forever, so I'm going to give it about a half an hour to dry. I'm just painting this over again because I mentioned to you that it ended up a dark brown, and I just put painter's tape inside so that nothing got on the decoupaged area, and I went around this with a dark brown paint. And here's our completed project back up on the wall, and it now looks closer to a little framed picture than a plain old switch plate. So once again, guys, thank you so much for subscribing. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask me and I'll get back to you within a few days. Upcycle with Decoupage is also on Facebook. If you click like and follow on the page, you'll be notified every week when I put a new video out. And I will see you next week with another video. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.